Hello and welcome to a super special day. I have my new friend Kendra Kae here. I found her on YouTube and just instantly was drawn to her integrity. There are so many people in the YouTube universe, and integrity and wisdom, that's my jam. That gets to me. Plus, she's musical, she's a singer, and she has very deep wisdom. So I wanted to interview her for my channel. I wanted to share her with you, and I wanted to let her tell you a little bit about her story. Her name is Kendra Kae, and yes, there is a lawnmower behind her, but we're just going to let that be okay because she's in Idaho, and they need to mow their lawn. So take it away, Kendra Kae. Like I never noticed you
Hi.
have dimples.
Oh, yay. I didn't notice I have dimples. How am
Yes, you do.
I look at myself in the mirror all the time. Still don't know I have dimples.
Yeah,
That's
smile
fantastic.
real hard.
I'll look back. Yeah, it's so interesting being in Idaho while we're talking about this and a bit about my life. But I am, as you said, I'm a singer and a songwriter, but I have a really interesting story, and like, there's so much to say. How could I even pick what to say? But you were so curious about the fact that I was Mormon that I was like, okay, let's just talk about that. So yeah, I've lived all over the world. I've experienced a lot of different things. I was an opera singer. Just a few like random tidbits about me. I grew up in eastern Idaho in a very conservative town. Was raised by, dysfunctional parents, as so many of us are. Like, it's just like there's a why do we shouldn't even have a club because it's just a thing. Like, everybody.
It's called humanity. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like this is what it is to be someone of our general generation born at this time. Like, we all just are going through it, and to varying different degrees and levels.
Mhm.
So yeah, the ways that I'm unique, ways that I'm not unique. And yeah, so on the Mormon point, just to say that I was raised in eastern Idaho, which has a lot of Mormons. So you'd think that maybe I was born and raised, but the truth is I wasn't. I joined the church when I was 16 years old. And I was looking for community, I was looking for belonging, I was looking for spirituality, I was looking for a way to be seen. I was also looking for a lot of structure, like structure that wasn't at home, rules. I was always the one providing the rules. And so I found all of that there, and I existed in that for 13 years, got married in the temple. I've done all the ceremonies that are there to be had, and that all came crashing down in like glorious panic attacks when I was 29.
Mm. How old were you when you got married?
I was, I have to think. I was 20, I believe. I don't think I was 21 yet, because at that time you had to be 21 to go on a mission as a Mormon woman. And I got snagged up by marriage before that happened. And I remember when they changed the age to 19, I was so upset. I was like, I could have gone on a mission.
You really
And
wanted to, huh?
I did. I really wanted to. I wanted to go preach the gospel. I wanted to share the good word. I just wanted to be immersed in it and immersed in my faith, because it made me feel safe. It made me feel comfortable. It made me very happy. I was very challenging with a husband that was lackluster at those things. Like, it was like pulling teeth.
Lackluster at what things?
Like, he didn't want to read the scriptures. He didn't want to dive deep. He did like we did the things, but it was just
He
a
was a
drag.
Mormon, he just wasn't
He,
zealous.
well, he was born and raised, and
Oh,
so, like, it was just, this is, it's like a Catholic. You're just Catholic, and
yeah.
you come to service or whatever. But as far as like the rituals, the devotions and things, those just
We have so much in common. This is all about you, but I just have to say, when I was 17 and I went to the Bible college, I fell madly in love with this preacher's son. And he was so blasé about being a Christian. I'm like, Jesus died for. I was like, they called me Bubbles. I was so enthusiastic, and I didn't. I wanted to just be an evangelist and spread the word, because Jesus was it, man. And he was like, it's just the way I am, the way my dad, my grandpa. It was like nothing, and I'm like, are you kidding me? It's life.
It is, yeah. It was like you find something so beautiful in it, and you can't help but share it because of how it makes you feel, and like that was why I wanted to serve a mission. And in high school, it was called Molly Mormon.
Oh my goodness gracious, Molly Mormon! I had a fake wedding and engagement ring. I told people I was married to the Lord. I was 16. What? I could give a shit. Oh, I'm swearing. I told myself I wouldn't. I didn't care about attracting guys. I was like, I'm married to Jesus, man.
Yeah.
And I was fine. Funny. Okay, proceed. So you got married when you were 20 and got out of it when you were 29?
Yes. So I left Mormonism when I was 29. So it's like it was really zealous, beautiful, like invested in Mormonism when I was a teenager. It was like my lifeline. It was my lifeblood. And then I went to a church college. I went to BYU, Idaho, and I was excited to be there and singing the music. It's so interesting. I had one of the hymns come to me this morning. I was like, I don't remember. Like, it was never one of my favorite hymns, but it was one that just came to me as for all the saints, da da. I can't even remember all the words. Come unto God, find everlasting light. Alleluia, alleluia. I can't remember how the alleluias go. Anyway, which is like the best part, but
I'm feeling it, sister. I'm feeling
yeah, right?
it. I feel those risings.
Yes. So I was like, I loved singing in church. I loved, university was still really good to me because I was like nourished there. I was married most of the time that I was in university, and that was a challenge because like I was getting fed at school and with my friends, and then I was coming home and it was just nothing. Like I wasn't being nourished. It was still the same kind of like, it was like living with my parents who weren't Mormon, and like, but then it felt worse because he's supposed to be there with me. He's supposed to be helping me get closer to God. Like they talk about in Mormonism that your relationship with the Lord and your partner is a triangle, and the closer you get to God, the closer you get to each other, because you're going like
we
this.
had that same triangle.
Yeah. I mean, yes, things surprise, surprise. But like I was doing this and he was like that. It was like it was like nosedive, and so he was like, maybe he wasn't maybe trying to get closer to the Lord, but he was trying to get closer to me in ways, but we're still ending up not in the same place. So that was university, and then we left that, and I became a elementary music teacher. We lived in Arizona for a year. Then we came back to Idaho, and I couldn't find a job. We went to a student married ward, which was awful. And
a student what? A student
married ward. So there's there's a whole movie called Singles Ward, and it's a comedy movie about what it's like to be in a singles ward. A singles ward is a place where they put all the single people so that they can find each other and get married. Because
is it a hospital? A ward?
No.
Sounds like a hospital.
Oh yeah, ward is the word. Thanks for asking, because I forget I forget Mormon jargon. A ward is what they call your zone, where your congregation meets. So basically your parish.
So it's like your neighborhood?
Yeah. It's defined by where you live, but it's the people that you go to church with, because unlike if you're a Methodist, you go to whatever Methodist church you want to. You can.
But we don't have parishes. Non-Catholics don't have parishes, but I know Catholics. My Catholic friends always were like, "I'm in the St. Pat's or the St. Joe's or the St." We didn't have that.
Right. Yeah. So, but
Not as organized.
there's nothing really cute about it, like St. John's. We don't have a St. John's ward or a St. Paul's ward. It's more like you would have your 32nd ward. Or I went to the Wapello First Ward when I was first a member, because I lived in the Wapello area, and so they called it the Wapello First Ward. They don't get creative at all about
You're with all the same people. You get to know the same group.
Yeah. Yeah, so you get to know the same group, but singles wards are an anomaly because it's like all the single people in a very large area go to church together so that they can marry each other. But there was a student married ward in the town I was living in at the time, and we were just all young, newly married couples going to church together. So it was me being able to connect with people in the same stage of life.
Was that kind of wonderful, though? I remember at the Bible college, the married students were having sex, and it was like, wow. I mean, I don't mean to get too personal, but I mean, I can see how that would be really fun to be a newlywed and to be with other couples.
I think it was, but also I think my higher wisdom was already tuning in at that time to say, like, you're just all in the same stage of life, so you don't have as much to offer each other, where if you're going to church with people who are younger and older than you, they have life experiences that are different that help balance you out and create a more well-rounded approach to life. And I already knew that at that age, but my husband wanted to go to a student married ward, so we went to a student married ward, and I made a lot of good friends that way. I loved my first student married ward. So I was in another one before we lived in Boise. But when we moved to Boise, we were in a different one, and I didn't want to go to it. My intuition's always spot on.
That's great. That's amazing.
But, yeah, I was like, I don't want to be here, but whatever, we'll go because you're whining about it and you want friends. Fine.
And he is the man.
And he is the man, so he's in charge. He
is the head of the family, like Christ is the head of the church. That's what I was taught.
Right. Yeah.
Were you taught that?
No, it wasn't ever phrased that way.
Oh.
But it was definitely implied, and like, and in the doctrine of like, when you go to the temple, a woman gives her allegiance to her husband before God, and then her husband gives allegiance to God first. Allegiance.
Wait, you allegiance to your husband first before God?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's defers. That's the right. So the husband defers, or the wife defers unto the husband as the husband defers unto the Father, Heavenly Father. Oh, we got sprinklers.
Yay! All the sounds.
So yeah, that was what was happening there, and so highlights of the student married ward time. This is when everything really, like, shit started to hit the fan, because I actually felt really good in Phoenix. I loved my time there. The people I was going to church with were really kind and open, and I really enjoyed it. I wasn't struggling. But once I got to Boise and I was going to the student married ward, I started to just be like, what's going on, and why am I doing this? And it was such a hassle to do things like go to the temple, and I felt like I needed to go with my husband, and he wasn't going with me. So something the universe intervened, to be like, here, let's see if we can shake things up for you. And I picked up my husband's tablet one day and had a screenshot on it, and it was porn.
Which isn't really thought of as a good thing in the Mormon church.
No, it's harped on big time. Like, it's like a major sin. And I was beside myself. I was like...
wow, were you so shocked?
I couldn't believe that he wouldn't tell me and talk to me about it. And... which just started a theme of me being way too trusting of other people. And I remember being in our little, this apartment was terrible. It was what we could afford, but the floors were super thin. We were in upstairs. We had an infestation of squirrels in the roof, and we had neighbors down below that smoked pot, and the pot smell would come up through the vents into our laundry. So I was in this apartment. The best thing about life,
Jeez.
I mean, about life in general for me, was the fact that we had this beautiful cat, and he was my precious baby, and also why I probably stayed in the marriage longer too. But
For the sake of the cat child.
for the sake of the cat child, because it was like, well, if I end the marriage, he's gonna take the cat.
Oh my God.
Which is actually what ended up happening later. But so I remember standing in the living room, and I'm like halfway between the living room and the kitchen. He's sitting on the couch, and I'm confronting him about it. And at first, he does not admit. He's not willing to tell me that, yeah, that's me. But like, I have the evidence, and I'm not stupid, and he's a terrible liar. Like, he can omit things just fine, but bold-faced lying, he's not capable. So yeah, he fell apart, and we started the whole repentance process of like, okay, you're going to the bishop, you're going to confess your sins, you're going to get clean.
Oh my God. He did that?
He went through all of that, and
Oh my God.
and the thing was, is it wasn't just him. Guess who else went through the process?
What did you do?
I didn't do anything, but I needed the healing. So so I met with the bishop fairly regularly during this time. I was having different kinds of conversations than my husband was having. My husband was reading this, I can't even remember the name of the book. I might still have a copy on my Audible. So I might. But part of me is like, I hope I don't, because it's
It was something like how to recover from a porn addiction or something like that?
putting on the armor of God. That was what the book. And so, and it is about recovering from porn addiction, but with like gospel principles. So he was reading that, and he was meeting with the bishop, and he was having to tell the bishop, I'm clean every day, text him and be like, I haven't looked at porn, I'm a good boy. Like, they have their procedures, and I was emailing the bishop back and forth, and he was just kind of helping me find my faith and stay steady so that I could be steady for my husband. Essentially, that's what was happening. I don't think I ever put two and two together. That's what was happening. Like, bishops are well trained in, like, resuscitation. Resuscitation of faith, resuscitation of marriage, resuscitation of activity. They're always doing their spiritual CPR. So my bishop was doing spiritual CPR on me. I was going to the temple every week by myself, which was actually really nourishing. It was like, yay, I have ownership over my spirituality. I am not dependent on what my husband does or does not do. So that was really empowering. So we went through that whole process and survived it, and then we bought a house and moved to another city, and we were in a normal ward now, and I actually was so much happier. It was like, yay, old people, young people, children. It was great. And I made a lot of good friends that way. And I also have to add that this happened at about 6 years of marriage, I think, 6 or 7. And at some point, it was like about 6, because he flunked out of college for a semester. Like, he was put on academic probation, and that is what sent him spiraling. So he was on academic probation when I found this all out. So like, bless him, compassion for him, of what he was going through, of feeling like an utter failure because he couldn't keep good enough grades to stay in school. And then on top of that, he was like a spiritual failure, like committed the ultimate sin, except for adultery, that he could commit in a marriage. So he was going through a lot at that time, and I was kind of like, I was the baseline for our marriage. I was the one keeping it all together. I was the grounding, the structure, the safety. I was really stepping into that role and didn't have the opportunity to be creative, didn't have the opportunity to explore things that I wanted to explore. And so I was clinging to my faith as like, this is how I get through, going to the temple, all the different things. So we move to another city, we buy a house, beautiful house. Our cat is so happy there. And and I started to get depressed. Like, I was working, I was teaching music. I started teaching music after getting fired from a shitty job. And starting to teach music gave me a little bit more sense of a purpose. But what was interesting is at the same time that I started teaching music, I also became a seminary teacher. It was like this...
Oh, wow.
I needed to reinvigorate my faith, and it was my last hurrah. And so I taught Old Testament to teenagers for an entire semester.
How'd that go over?
I liked it. I liked the process, but it was like my intuition kicked in again, and at the end of it, I knew that they were ready to take me to the next level of being a seminary teacher, like actually moving towards full-time employment, because I was in training at the time, and I declined. I said, I want to focus on being a music teacher. So I switched over to that.
So you were good at it, because I read the Old Testament when I was a teenager, and I don't know, I think it's a tough sell. There's a lot of really hard stuff in there.
It is a lot of really hard
Even
stuff.
as a devout Christian, I was like, what did Noah do? What did he do with this? Like, what? And this is okay.
That's not even the worst. Yeah, that's not
yeah,
even the worst.
Yeah, there's some really awful stuff in there, and
Yeah.
it's so, I just wondered, teenagers in the Old Testament, So if you did that well, you're good.
Well, yeah, I was really good at following the formulas, and Mormons are so good at painting things really happy.
Yes, they've got great teeth and smiles, and I love Donny Osmond. I love that.
So one thing I say about Mormonism is it is the most saccharine cult you'll ever meet. Like, they are the sweetest cult.
You call it a cult?
I do call it a cult. They fit all of the parameters, and in fact, there's a YouTube personality called Brother Jacob, and he does these videos about Mormon apologetics. So he addresses the all of the church history things that don't actually align with the whitewashed version that they tell you, and then he dives into principles like apostasy, and what do Mormons think apostasy is, and it's like he really pinpoints this one thing, that this was kind of the crux of me being like, I'm done, that it is worse to go against the church's authority. Like, that is a more severe sin to go against the church's authority than it is to commit adultery or murder someone or rape somebody.
That's scary.
Isn't that? That's pretty
really scary. Yeah, that's really scary.
Yeah, this is where like he points out that yes, they are a cult, because it is so much about the control, and if you leave, like, there's all of this, they don't get you back with it's not like Scientology where they like blackmail you, and it's not like Jehovah's Witness where they treat you so terribly, although it is terrible treatment, but it's not like it's not icing you out. Jehovah's Witnesses will ice you out, like you just don't have a community anymore, where Mormons they'll be like, yeah, of course we still want you around, but then you're just kind of like
Unless you're
tainted one.
famous, like Martha Beck, she got death threats.
Yeah, it does depend on your visibility and different things. Like, it does depend on your like what you're going through. But like with Mormon families, it's like the mother that's like, oh my God, I can't believe, and she would never say oh my God, but my heart just is aching because I won't have all of my children with me in heaven. And that's where they get you, is more with that, like that heavy guilt of and pressure to meet the expectations so that everybody can be in heaven together. But there's not room for you there if you're gay, or if you are a woman that wants to wear pants to church.
Really, pants will keep you out, huh?
I say that,
no
and I know
pants
that
in heaven.
I say that, and that used to be the thing. The Mormons get hip eventually, and now women can wear pants to church, and so yay, they're getting a bit more progressive.
That's awesome, man. So cutting edge.
But yeah, like, anyway, I feel like I need to skip ahead to the end of it, of like, okay, so after I left seminary teaching, I wrote this like thing that was like, this is my faith, and this is what I want, and in life, and I'm so devoted to the Lord, and I posted it on Facebook, and I was like, that's it, my faith is set. That was in February. May, I was having panic attacks. I asked to be released from the Relief Society presidency. I'm
sorry, but when you say panic attacks, you couldn't breathe, your heart was beating.
It was more palpitations and crying.
And so how were you feeling? Like, were you anxious?
It was like, yeah, it was anxiety, the body shrinking. I can't show up. I couldn't articulate what I was feeling. It was just having a very somatic.
And this was a new thing for you. It wasn't like something you.
No, it was very new for me. And I wasn't sleeping. I was really struggling at work. But it was worse at church.
Wow.
So I was like, I just need to change something. So I asked to be released from my calling. And then they gave me another calling, because that's what they do. So I was in the Relief Society presidency, which meant I was in charge of helping lead all the women in the congregation. And like sometimes teaching lessons. But what was weird is our Relief Society presidency insisted on sitting at the front, like the bishop sits at the front of the congregation. And so I was like falling apart, crying and sobbing during Relief Society, and everybody's staring at me because I'm at the front of the room, and it was awful. So I asked to be released, and then they put me in the primary, which is the little children playing the piano for their music time, which was lovely because I could sit behind the piano, nobody could see me. I did my thing, and then I would go walk outside or sit in the car, and yeah. So that was all happening that summer after I finished teaching seminary, and then Mother's Day was coming, and I hated Mother's Day in the church. I had been married for 8 years, and I didn't have a child, which is like this big thing in Mormonism. Like, you should have a child by then. There's something wrong with you, and why aren't you, and what have you tried enough? Are you doing all the things, or did you do IVF? And I did.
Oh my God, they go that far?
Yeah, and I did I did look into IVF, but my intuition was like, no, you don't need, like, your body's healthy. This is called divine intervention, by the way. My body knew that I was not meant to have a child with that man, and completely shut down. Like, I wasn't having regular cycles. I was having health issues in regards to my fertility. I don't anymore. Yeah. But I remember Mother's Day, I was like, I'm not going to church, and we were celebrating that my husband had finally graduated from university after 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So we were celebrating, and we went to Sun Valley and had a weekend there, and I bought myself a coaster that said if I wanted to hear the pitter-patter of little feet, I'd put tap shoes on my cat. And I felt so free and so happy. And to me, that was really informative. And so by September, I did the primary program where I played piano for their performance. And then that day, I went to the bishop's office and I said, I'm not coming back next week. You need to find somebody else.
Wow.
And the bishop was like, well, if you leave, you won't come back. And I said, you know what? I joined this church of my own volition at 16 years old. If I'm meant to be here, I will come back. So leave me alone.
You told him, leave me alone.
Mm-hmm. They didn't. But I left that day, and like several weeks later, they said, or maybe months, it might have been a month or two, they texted me and said, could you come and fill in for piano while we're looking for somebody? And I said, I'm actually out of town for the next 2 weeks. And then they sent me a very passive aggressive text that said, busy busy, well, could you do it when you get back? And I was so enraged. I was like, if you can't find somebody in 2 weeks, then you're just doing this to get me back. And I was like, so I just said no. By December, I had started to have a lot of conversations and see a lot of things about apologetic materials, and the one that really just blew my mind was understanding that the sacred Egyptian papyrus text that Joseph Smith claimed was God sitting on a throne was actually just a very common funerary Egyptian text that was showing the embalming process. And Joseph was like, this is the seed of God. And it was actually, I can't remember which god, but one of the gods with an erected penis. That's what it actually was.
That makes sense. And were there 20 women around him?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I was having all sorts of friends and family telling me their experience of sexual abuse in the church. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I had my records removed. I used a service to do it so that they would leave me alone.
Wow.
And then I was done. Like, I was officially done that year. And I was so done with God. I was so done with spirituality. I thought, I did have all these feelings of, will I ever feel the spirit again? Because that was like one of the things that I clung to Mormonism, is like, I don't know how I will ever feel the spirit. And I just had to let go and be like, I don't care. I don't care if I don't, because this is just not right. And I left, and I became, like, I was atheist. I didn't want kids. I told my husband I don't want kids. And a whole new trajectory started for me at that moment. Not the only time that I started a whole new trajectory for my life, but it started a new.
How did he respond to you leaving the church?
He left with me because, like I said, he was pretty apathetic about going.
Oh, he left too?
Yeah, he was just like, yeah, cool. I don't have to go. Sweet.
Wow.
But as they say in ex-Mormon communities, you can take the man out of the Mormon, but you can't take the Mormon out of the man. And that was just as true for my husband, even with his eccentricities and differences, as it was for any other man. And we made it 3 more years before I told him we're getting a divorce.
You told him?
Yeah.
And how did he take that?
That's when all the things started happening that I'm like, oh, this is how you really are. Like, he was actually, he's pretty soft personality, but not ugly. Like, it was ugly and not ugly. How do you paint it? You paint it however you want. That's the truth. You paint it however you want. But the truth was, like, my truth was that I stepped back and stopped doing all of the foundation keeping for the relationship, and I became a bit chaotic, which is actually much more of that creative energy. I was like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to dance, and I'm going to sing more, and I'm going to be joyful, and I'm going to be like, I'm going to let myself shine. And he could not stand seeing me shine. It made him feel
I just
so
felt that.
insecure.
Wow. I'm sorry, but I gotta take a breath, girl. That's like, whoa. Like, seriously? Wow.
Yeah. So, like, I
Boner
wasn't
killer,
able,
you know.
Yeah, I wasn't able to shine in that marriage, and that, well, boner killer. Talk about that. Like, our sex life was terrible. It's like just to get into the fun stuff.
No, but it's all related, right?
It is all related.
It's all related.
As soon as we were separated, and people, you can paint me however you want to paint me. Like, lots of people want to be like, you're a Jezebel or you're a bitch for having lived your life like that. And he himself projected this onto me. But as soon as we were separated, we were still living together. I was like,
ouch,
in the dating pool. I was like, I am not waiting any longer. I've held off for this long. You're the only man I've ever had sex with.
Wow.
And I was doing it kind of on the down low, like he didn't want me dating, but also that was the control. It was like, you don't get to decide this. And, you know, I'm the stay-at-home wife right now, so I don't have a job, and I do have to figure that out. So I guess if you want your own space and you don't want to, like, see the energy of what's happening, because it wasn't like I was bringing guys home. I would have never done that. Right. I mean, I'm sure there are women who would do that, and, like, more power to you, but I wasn't that cool. I wasn't like that. But he could see me coming home, and like I would have a red face from making out with a guy, and like, but it got bad. He hacked into my Facebook account and read messages between me and other men.
Oh no, ouch. Be careful what you look for, dude.
Yeah, exactly. It was like you're just asking for it. You're torturing yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I so these are the kind of things that are like just the juicy bits of the story. Like this is really juicy, and this is the thing that makes people's jaws drop. They're like, "What?" And it was making men's jaws drop not just because of the shock factor of the fact, but also because of the, like, well, let me be the one to rectify this for you.
What do you mean, rectify?
Just wait.
Okay, sorry.
So I went through 11 years of marriage, only ever having this one partner, never having been sexual with anybody else, not even, like, fondling sexual. It was like nothing. Never having masturbated, nothing.
Wow.
There's a wow. But here, on top of that,
that made my jaw drop.
Okay, but I ended an 11-year marriage having never had oral sex, giving or receiving.
Wow. Wow. Is that a sin in the Mormon Church?
No, not necessarily. Everybody has their own interpretation of, like, oh, it doesn't actually bring about babies, so it's not.
Yeah, that's the best part about it.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So, but
wow.
I just never felt safe enough to do that with him. I also couldn't.
What bothers me is, why don't people's jaws drop that for 11 years you hid your light, you didn't dance, you didn't sing, you didn't shine. Yeah. That's what makes my freaking jaw drop.
Yeah.
And not in any kind of judgy way, but as a woman. Well, and that women do that. You know,
here's the magic of
me. That's normal.
Here's the magic of me, Susie. I find light no matter where I'm at, no matter what I'm going through. I'm finding a way to be a light. Mm-hmm. So even when I was not being my authentic, fully fledged, weird self, weirdly, wonderfully, amazing, magical self, when I wasn't singing, I was finding other ways. Like, I was pouring myself into crafts. I was connecting, like, I still was a light, but it wasn't the full power of me. It wasn't me, and I wasn't doing it from a place of, this feels good and juicy and pleasurable to me. I was doing it from a place of what feels good and juicy and pleasurable to somebody else, and being a light that way. So it was like, it was the people-pleasing thing, rather than doing it all for my own pleasure. I didn't know I could have pleasure, you know, obviously. I was missing out in so many ways.
Wow. I mean, most women probably do, because we're not supposed to. It's about the man. It's about the erect penis. Mm-hmm. Life revolves around that. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, I know that sounds crude and crass, but energetically, the hard dick is the thing. I mean, when I went to Japan, there was hard dicks everywhere. They have the festival of the penis. That's power. That's value. That's what about, oh gosh, I'm going to go down a feminist rabbit hole, but what about our wombs, Those,
Yeah. Well, but that was the journey that had to happen. So like atheism for a very long time, lots of exploring sex and doing a lot of things because I just wanted to try them, and really discovering that they weren't for me. Like I don't do any drugs now, which is really interesting. Like a lot of people become big drinkers after they leave Mormonism, and I just never took to any of those things. Tried them all, just didn't ever feel right. And like being atheist was very freeing. It was like finding the preciousness of life. And it actually felt more important to be a good person. And I remember
a concept.
I remember a opera teacher saying to me during that time, she was very devout Christian, but she's like carefree and beautiful, and she said, I think the Lord wants you to be atheist right now. Like I think that's how you find him again.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, it's so great for her to say that. Because that's free,
Yeah, that's surprising that she would say that.
A Mormon would never say that. Like this is good for you. This is going to help you find your way back.
Well, in my mind, you were an atheist, but it wasn't that you were leaving God or a supreme being. You were leaving that version, which wasn't true for you. You were setting yourself free from a belief system.
Yes. Well, and you and I have talked about A Course in Miracles a couple times. I dated a man who was like, he digested the entire course. And so like I started trying to read it while I was dating him, and I was too triggered. I couldn't handle the verbiage.
Because of the Christian. Yeah. The sequel's better.
Yeah.
It's the masculine pronouns are triggering as well. Yeah. The Course of Love, he's more feminine and it's kind of more gentle.
Yes.
I love the Course in Miracles, but I understand how that could be triggering. I do.
And I did find my way to a lot of teachings more, like there was a lot of men, you go down the rabbit hole of Ram Dass and Alan Watts, and you're listening to all these different things, and then you're reading stuff by Nisargadatta Maharaj, and you're getting all this Eastern wisdom. I remember saying to my coach at the time, my subconscious reprogramming coach, do you have any women I could listen to? And then he sent me the mother, and I listened to her, and I was like, I want to go back to listening to the men because she is way harsher than these guys are. Like
the mother who's channeling patriarchal energy.
Exactly. She was so strict. I was like,
Okay, wait, can I backtrack a little bit? Your subconscious what, coach? Because you just kind of threw that out there.
I did.
Even me, who's in this world, is like, you're what?
So this is a man named Trevor Camplain, and I'm throwing him out there because his work is really good, and people should check him out.
How do you spell his last name? I'm writing it down.
Kampliane, I think. I think there's an E at the end. Don't quote me on that right now.
Kampl, probably Aine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Plaine. And
would you call him your subconscious what,
just
coach?
Reprogrammer. He's, what does he call himself on? I think sub-architect is his Instagram. Like
cool.
Like you're the architect of your own subconscious.
Cool.
And I was going through a really big crisis at that time because I had kind of run my life wild. Like I had that whole in Women Who Run with the Wolves, the wolf that is just viscerating any prey in front of her and not even eating it. I went through that phase. And at the end of that phase, I was like, life sucks. I want to die. And then my best friend here introduced me to Trevor, and Trevor had a video that said, I'll show you how to reprogram your subconscious using your own voice. And it was that phrase, using your own voice, that spoke to me. I was like, I don't want to defer to any other authority but this authority. And so I started tuning into like, what do I actually want in life? And I thought I knew. And as soon as you start trying to reprogram the subconscious with ideas of what you think you want, you start discovering that you don't want that. And then you start discovering what you do want. And then you try to program yourself with what you do want. And then you discover you're resistant to what you do want. Anyway, it's like a whole thing.
Wow. Why would anyone be resistant to what they want? That's right. Like, what is that about?
That's about fear. It's about so I mentioned at the beginning of this, we all have that parents that don't take care of us when we're little. And so we all have programs of not getting enough love, of neglect, of and we create safety mechanisms to protect ourselves from these things. And those safety mechanisms are activated when we try to move closer to the things that we actually want, because we can't be in that state of fear to have those things. We have to be in a state of trust and openness and love and receiving. But if everything in us is shutting down and saying like, no, we're going into fight, flight, freeze mode, we can't actually have it. So that's all the resistance. The resistance is I mentioned this the other day. Like, I want to create and I want to share what I'm experiencing, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, all these messages that are coming to me. I do want to put them out there. And I don't want to put myself on YouTube anymore, because I realize that it's feeding this little part of me that just wants love and validation, and that just makes me sad. And so like, you get into that fight with yourself of I don't want to create content because it's like giving me dopamine hits that I don't want and that are making me feel imbalanced and stuff. But I do want to create content because I'm just a naturally effervescent person and it is beautiful. And so letting that paradox exist at the same time is how we are able to actually get momentum and move forward and make decisions that dissipate all of the static and it's more like, it's just like residual energy that just is finally ready to go away.
So you were able to work through the resistance to reprogram your subconscious for what you
I'm
really
still
want?
working through the resistance.
Right.
I like, honestly, I know that that's where I'm at. I'm still working through the resistance.
Did he give you tools for that? Because tell me.
So no. Yes.
Oh,
and
dang.
No. Well,
I want 3 easy steps. Send me the pill.
I know. The problem is that he, not the problem, but the, Trevor's very intuitive and, but eventually you have to take over and you have to be in the driver's seat, and you don't he is so supportive and he's going to help you. Like,
yeah.
I remember I would leave him really long crying voice notes when we were working together. And Trevor's response to me every time I would leave one of those was, "This is fantastic news." And that alone started to reprogram my subconscious. It was like having someone who's like, "Oh, you're in this state, there's not a problem here."
Right. Oh my God, that's huge what you said. That's huge. You're mad, you're having a panic attack, you want to kill yourself? That's great. Like, no, seriously, like, that's good. Like, your soul is like us. Like, I always joke that, like, when we're in the worst, because I've been suicidally depressed, and my soul's up there going, "Great, look at her, she's really figuring it out." And I'm like, are you freaking, are you kidding me? Like, give me a break. Why are you happy? And my soul's like, she's getting it, you know? And you're like, oh my God. It's what you said, the paradox. Because when you put yourself on YouTube, and I think I said this to you yesterday, that part of you that needs love and attention, I need that too. Like, you're feeding me. And that's one thing the Course in Miracles says that I love, is that giving and receiving are the same thing. When you get love and attention, I get love and attention. You're not taking it from me. You're giving it to me, and I'm giving it to you. And we're the same, ultimately. We're the same. We're only one person here.
And I mean, the biggest thing that religion does to us is it makes us feel bad for being who we are and being human. Yeah. Like, more, what I came up with this catchphrase when I left Mormonism, so, you know, the man and the Mormon thing, that was not my catchphrase. This is my catchphrase. Mormonism gives you solutions for problems that they give you as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and capitalism does that, and consumerism does
Yep.
that.
Yep, exactly. So it's like the best thing we can do to become sovereign is to not give a damn and really like, I know it sounds cliche and it's like it's self-love, but it's like radical. I like to use the word, it's radical self-love, because it's not just like go buy yourself a perfume and take a day off self-love. It is, I love my I love these things about myself that people think, like society as a whole value, or not values, but like rejects, and is like, oh, I could never be that way because that's needy, or I'm anxiously attached, or I'm avoidantly
Oh
attached.
my
And
God.
then like, and then we feel bad about being that. We feel bad about who we are because we've got like, I need to be fixed. I'm so done with spiritual healing that comes from I need to be fixed, because you don't need to be fixed. You are like, that is the message. If we could really just listen to Jesus, Jesus is saying you are perfect. There is no sin. There are no mistakes. Like, really love yourself, and when you can enjoy that process, like the world just unfolds for you.
Well, you say it's radical self-love. It's radical because we live in a culture that perpetuates self-hatred,
Yes.
self-doubt,
Yes.
fear, and shame. So it's
Yes.
only radical. It's not actually radical because
No.
authentic, when we were little children, if you and I would have met on the playground and we were both 3 or 4 in our cute little skirts or dresses or whatever, we would love ourselves. Oh, here we go. Here comes the song.
This is all about little children and how they love like
Can I
that.
play along?
Yes. I'd feel bad for the people that are like really anal about timing.
Oh,
But
okay,
that's
forget
okay.
it.
Will you be my friend? Will you play with me? This is the way I like to be. I like to sit and you like to run, moving our own way. We're having fun. I want to laugh while you want to scream, making our own sounds, a chorus a wee. I might feel mad while you're feeling glad. Happy are we, emotions flowing. Innocence and playfulness come through our souls when we express. Yeah. And mistakes are totally divine. Like, I'm like, I used to get so, I was an opera singer, so I used to get so, if I make a mistake, it was like the worst thing in the world. And it's again that same damn script of like, you are worthless if you can't be this. If you don't have the perfect Maybelline face and stuff, like, which is why I've forsaken makeup most of the time and like all of these different things and shaving and whatever. But like, it's so interesting to notice where we have deprogrammed, but then we still find there's other layers to deprogram from. And the reason it has to be radicalized is because a revolution is required to change the paradigm.
And it's happening, and we're a part of it, and it is happening in dramatic ways all over planet Earth. It's happening in the women I know. It's happening in every structure, in every system.
Yeah.
It's undeniably happening.
Yes, and so in Mormonism, this is where my spiritual journey really shifted from having been programmed by all of this, and not just Mormonism, society, everything, television, all the things, Josie and the Pussycats, subliminal messages.
Oh, I used
in the
to
songs.
love that Josie and the Pussycats with the sweet meat out of sweet, the little tambourines.
Yes,
They were
yes.
like the Archie's cousins or something. Josie and because then they were cats, and I love cats. So
Yes.
they were awesome.
Did you see the film that was made in the 90s?
Nah, I was a grown up by then. So I
Okay,
wasn't-
yeah. So it was great because like they became pop stars, and only to find out that the record label that they were working for was putting subliminal messages underneath their music to get people to buy stuff.
Wait, this was in the movie. The plot.
Yeah.
of
Yeah, the movie was woke.
Wow. That's kind of good news. That's cool.
Yeah. So that movie really spoke to me when I was young, and still does. Like I love singing the music. There's one that I like.
All right, Josie and the Pussycats.
This isn't Josie and the Pussycats, and I'm only gonna play a little bit because I don't want you to get dinged. But well, he looks at me with those innocent eyes and says, "It looks like you're wearing some kind of disguise because your hair sticks out your shoes." Anyway, the chorus is, "Why do you do what you do to me, baby? Shaking my confidence, driving me crazy. You know, so it's like all these subliminal messages about how we should be avoidantly attached or anxiously attached to somebody.
It reminds me of my daughter used to love that group One Direction. And now that she's older, she's like, that song, "You Don't Know You're Beautiful." She's like, that is such a terrible message. Like, if a girl knows she's beautiful, she's just a total narcissist asshole.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and the thing is
and that's what makes you beautiful.
Okay.
That was the lyric.
Okay, but here's the crux of it, though. Is it really a terrible message? Or is that something we believe is a terrible message because now we're being programmed to be like, oh, that's so bad, and
The point is, why are you singing about her being beautiful at all? Why not sing about how smart she is, how kind she is, how strong she is? Why is it always about how we look?
Yeah.
And if we're effable, I
Right.
mean, seriously, it
Yes.
comes back to the erect member. We are only here
Yes.
to satisfy that, and it's like, are you kidding me? Like, I don't want to be masculine or powerful in that way, and yet there's so much more to me than my appearance.
Right.
Yeah, you can get stuck in a
ultimately-
pretty prison for sure.
Yeah,
if you're pretty.
ultimately we're so
even-
much more than we even we can even comprehend. Like that's the truth, and that's what we're breaking out of. Is
Well, sometimes
the
I get
illusion-
triggered. I have to take a breath.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
But
like,
even
okay,
using the word
let's-
pretty, I feel like any woman watching this who doesn't think
feel
she's pretty, like
pretty.
that word has been used to really divide us and make us
Yeah.
competitive and hurt us,
Yes.
beat us down.
Well,
Nobody
I have-
wins in that competition.
So funny. You're like saying words from half of my songs right now.
We are so in sync. It's unusual how in sync
like-
we are.
I was like, wait, where is it? Don't you know you are love, you are hope, and you are free? Don't you know that you are worthy of everything you've ever wanted or dreamed? Don't you know you are love beyond compare for just the way you stare at the sky, at the sky. You are love, you are love. So there's that, and then you said nobody wins, and I have this song called "I Ran Away from America." Because there is no side, there is no side, there is no side that wins. We all lose when we buy in. And there's like a little bit about falling for the trap of pharmaceutical companies in there, and capitalism makes an appearance, and patriarchy makes an appearance. And when I talk about patriarchy, I don't talk about men versus women, I introduce it in the song, and I say, ladies and gentlemen of the patriarchy, it's time to wake up, because it doesn't matter your gender, you can still perpetuate the patriarchy. Like, it is genderless. We think it's gendered, and that's another way we're divided, but it is not gendered. It is a construct, and it is a structure, and it's a belief system. Like, it's a dogma.
It's an energetic stronghold that has had its foot on our neck for thousands of years.
Oh.
Its foot on our vaginas. Yeah, and it's not good for men or women. It's not good
No.
for human beings. Like in the 60s, there was this really popular poster. You can have black light or regular. And it said, war is not good for children or animals. And it had like a plant. It was very sort of like Picasso, or I forget. It was very beautiful. You know, there was that whole peace and love thing, which I love. I never abandoned that philosophy of peace and love, but it's true. War between this, like, do you ever know that singer Joe Jackson? Oh, you'd love him.
Okay.
If there's war between the sexes, then there'll be no people left. And it's called Real Men. It's an amazing song. I'll send it to you. I'm sure it's on Spotify, but it's true. It's like, I gave birth to a boy and a girl, and I tried my hardest not to let them be programmed with that patriarchal stuff, but it's everywhere. You know, it's just
Right. And so, like, we need the antidote now. Like, we need the antidote, and the antidote is not what a lot of women think it is. It's not a matriarchy.
well, but a matriarchy isn't women controlling. Matriarchal cultures of thousands of years, and even now in China, there's one. Matriarchy takes care of men and boys.
Yeah.
It's inclusive. Mothers don't favor their girls or their boys. They love all their children.
Yes. So
It's not the opposite of patriarchy. It's different.
But it is. It's like tuning into that. The reason I say it's not matriarchy is more because of the semantics of it. Like, people go to the connotation of a word, not the denotation.
It's not power over, it's power together. Men and women together.
So if that's truly what a matriarchy is, then yes, that's what we need. But if matriarchy is what people are connotating it, which is like, it's not the understanding.
Feminine power is receptive. It's kind. It's supportive. It's maternal.
And so that's what, like, the very first song I wrote that was not a school assignment or something I was writing for my students when I was a teacher. It was called the Mother Song. And the end of it, this is on Spotify, so you can go listen to it. There's an 11-minute long, gorgeous sound bath.
Wow. What's it called? Mother Love?
Mother. It's just called Mother. I think there's two versions of it. There's Mother and Call of the Mother, and I think Mother is the one that I recommend. That's the 11-minute long one. I like them both, which is why I released them both. And there's no mistakes. Like, I'm sure one will speak to somebody more than the other, but my personal favorite is Mother. But the end of it is tuning into that energy of love of mother knows each child, purest love never defiled. The child's worth since before their birth is found in mother's arms. She lets the joy move, she lets the love grow, she lets the heart sing, and we all know, like it. And it does say in there something about what's the words? Something about, like, we I don't remember what it says. I'm going to give you the essence.
I want to help people find
lyrics.
you, but literally there's like, I'm counting, there's 16 Kendra Kaes on Spotify. I'm going to
have a song called Mother?
No, but I'm not, there's so many Kendra Kaes. Okay. I want to put, I want to share your information, but I know, and I'm going, there's a lot of Kendra Kaes.
I apologize that my head, or like my profile shot isn't making it any easier for people, because if I have a pixie haircut, you see me here, and then you go on there and you see my very, like, opera persona profile right now. It's like, that's the same woman, and yes, but also no.
What's the name of your
So
song that would help me find you? Like a song that's only yours, like a unique song title that'll help me find you. Probably.
Easy to receive. Or Face Your Shadow, that one. Because nobody, there's not a track out there that's called Face Your Shadow. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna update that so that everybody can find me. I just have to get the headshot taken, or the photo.
Yeah, I searched Face Your Shadow and oh, let me see. Let's see. There you are. Yay, Kendra Kae came
Yeah.
up.
Perfect. Okay. So yeah, mother, she like there's a line in there about how we all are held, we all grow, we all benefit when mother runs the world.
Wait,
And
this is you, honey?
that is me.
Oh, you
Isn't
had
that crazy,
you used
guys?
to be blonde. Look at she
I
used to
did
be
used to
blonde.
be blonde. I used to have long hair.
Wow, it's
I used
amazing
to
how
wear
different
black.
with long blonde hair you look so, and lipstick and makeup. Isn't it amazing how different we can look? Wow.
It is amazing.
Okay,
And I love that photo. I feel like I look so
That's pretty.
confident and calm and
You look like
beautiful.
a businesswoman or a
I
glamour
do.
plus.
Yeah, it's a whole different vibe.
Yes,
but,
it is.
But like I was that woman and I love that version of me. I love her so much. She informs me now and helps me to be softer and more fairy-like. You know, like she holds me and I hold her. Like we hold all of ourselves. Anyway, so yeah. But what I've talked a lot because I'm like, just things keep coming up. But what questions do you have for
I
me?
have some questions for you,
Okay.
my dear, and thank you so much for being so vulnerable and honest and real. That's,
I didn't have cuddling until I was 29.
yeah, no, that's, you know what? I bet a lot of women can relate to that. And it's not something that people don't talk about taboo things. And we're only as sick as our secrets are that we keep. So you're very healthy.
Thank you. Yeah, I get that from my mother.
Oh, she tells her secrets.
Probably a bit too much. It was too much for a 7-year-old.
Well, you're a grown woman telling your story to other grown women, and
Exactly.
you're doing it in an appropriate way that's
Well,
empowering.
Yeah, you said something to me the other day. You're like, you don't talk like a victim. I'm like, nope, because I'm not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That
changes everything.
It does. It does, and people feel that energetically. So, speaking of you not being a victim, so I found you on YouTube, and you're on Spotify, and you've lived this amazing life, and I want to help you write your life story because I think everybody should read it because there's no other story like yours. So what's your vision for your future as far as your work in the world and how you want to work with women?
So the things that are most important to me, yeah, it's not just women. I am very, very passionate about helping women in particular. So I released the album Women Holding Women because I wanted to start this movement, and I don't really know where this goes. It's like I'm set the intention and now I'm letting it go because momentum's not happening, and when momentum's not happening, I just don't force it anymore. But the idea was that to bring, like, so many women are in fight, flight, freeze mode in our
Or
world.
fawn.
The
There's
nervous
one
system-
more, fawn.
And fawn, yes. Thank you for bringing that one. I just say those because it's quick and easy, but fawn is a really, really important one to address because sometimes we don't realize that is a state of a height of the sympathetic nervous system. Just, so many women are in these states, and we do it for a plethora of reasons to be safe, to get what we need, but then we're just fried and we're not able, like, God, women have the capacity to do so much more, and women even recognize it where they see, like, we've had to work twice as hard to have our place in this world. We've had to push ourselves into spaces so we get more done. We do all these incredible things, but then we burn out and we're miserable and we're not happy and we're not vibrant. or we're getting a lot of health issues.
We get autoimmune diseases
Exactly.
or breast cancer.
Exactly. I love, there's a woman who does woman wellness, and she talks about her story of she was listening to podcasts of other women saying, you just need to push yourself harder to be successful. And she recoiled at that. She's like, if I do that anymore, I'm going to die, because she was so sick. And then, her intuition peaked at her and said, look into this. And so she started doing research on the women that were actually saying these things on these podcasts. And sure enough, they were having health issues. They were ending up with health issues. And so she said, no, we get to be receptive. We get to relax. We get to acknowledge our body's natural rhythm of the 28-day energy cycle, where we hit a peak when our estrogen is peaked, we are in like super God mode. But when our progesterone is high, we need to chill the fuck out, and be okay with that, and not feel bad about needing that, letting our bodies have their natural rhythm. So, where was I going? Women holding women. It's about helping women find that homeostasis and getting from fight, flight, freeze, and fawn to flourishing, because we're meant to flourish, and I love that word.
Me too.
And so what my thought was, like, it's these holistic things. It's running in the woods naked. It is eating well, getting good sleep, but it's also being in community with other people. We live in such an individualized world that is like, we are so separated, and America is like the pinnacle of rugged individualism. It's like deeply programmed into us. You must hold your own, you must be. So when and that's when words like self-reliance and sovereignty get bastardized and lose their true meaning, because it's like, you have to hold your own, pull up your bootstraps, and get shit done. And
can I just say something? I don't mean to interrupt you, but you said pull up the bootstraps, and I was listening to a Sufi, I think I told you about it. He's an entrepreneur, and he said that saying used to mean pulling up your bootstraps meant it's impossible, because you literally, think about it, you can't pull your own bootstraps and pull yourself up. But that saying was co-opted to mean work your ass off, when literally it used to mean I can't pull myself up by my own bootstraps. I can't.
That was like what we were talking about before this call about the diamond and pressure.
Yeah.
And like we've ruined that process of a diamond under pressure is actually a diamond being held by the earth.
I need you.
Warmed.
I need your energy. I need your love. I need your support. I need your wisdom. That doesn't make me needy. That makes me an interconnected human being who wants to join with another woman, human being, and pool our energy resources. We're like a pool, whereas rugged individual is each person is a mountain. I'm not a freaking mountain. I'm a pool, and I need more water in my pool, and I want to flow to the ocean with all the other, maybe that metaphor doesn't work for people, but for me it does. It's like interconnectedness. It's not wrong to be, it's not needy to need other people.
And I'm looking at the trees, your tree mural behind you, and they are interconnected. They have a network, and they are supporting and helping one another as they grow. Yes. And we're not meant to grow in a vacuum. We're not meant to grow in a forest all by ourselves.
No.
There's no such thing as a solitary tree in a forest. That's
even talked about how a stump can live for hundreds of years, because the stump itself is feeding. It's like, I love the metaphor of trees and us, in the fact that, and if you think about the ancients and our great-great-great-grandmothers and the ones who aren't even they're just merged into pure consciousness, that energy is available for us. But patriarchy and white supremacy and all that has made that we're not allowed to talk about that. It's not in the vernacular. And yet it is a real energy that is available for you and me and every woman, everyone. And that connection to our ancestors, that connection to that power, that feminine energy, which is not about sex. I mean, it is, but it's about so much more. It's about power. Like, how can you be powerful as a woman without acting like a dude?
Yeah, and that's the thing, is without acting like that dude, because we have different wisdom, we have different gnosis, Like we are.
Okay, there's that word again, gnosis. I'm sorry. What does it mean?
It's just, I think it's another word
Spelled
for knowledge.
Gnosis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like agnostic.
Yeah. Like, it does come from like the Gnostic Gospels.
So the word gnosis means...
I don't know if it comes from that, but it's used in that.
What's it mean? Gnosis.
Let's look it up so that the people that are going to criticize...
It's Learn a Word Day. The magic word for today is gnosis.
From the Greek word knowledge. Duh. That's what I said. So I'm not off at all. But refers to any type of knowledge or insight, often spiritual or mystic in nature. That's where it gets at the deeper meaning. Is that it's gnosis is that spiritual wisdom. It's that Sophie wisdom. It's Sophia, the goddess of wisdom. Sometimes, like I do, I call my ukulele Sophia. She is Sophia.
Cute.
But also like it's an energy of being that kind of receptive wisdom. So like, even if we can take away, I feel to say this, and I don't know why I feel to say this right now, but I need to say this, that even if we can take away the definition of feminine and masculine of gender and just sink into deep spiritual wisdom is what we need right now, that may actually help a few people who are a little bit resistant of like, the women are going to take over, because that's not the plan. That's not the plan. People think that's the plan. That's not the plan. And that's why they're all kicking and screaming as patriarchy falls, because they think that they're just going to lose their power.
They're projecting what they didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. The truth is they don't have power right now. They think they have power, but they don't. And we get power by realizing how incredibly powerful we already are.
And when we share the power, it's capitalism, it's greed, it's scarcity. There's enough love and power to go around. Let's share it. Let's have a power party.
Abundance mindset. I love, I want to explore this more. What is her name? Is it Rebecca? Anyway, Braiding Sweetgrass, in that book, which is about Native American traditions and also just natural biology, not biology, yes, biology, that's plants, what plants do, and she talks about nature's gift economy. Nature just is abundant and is gifting, and that when we are in that state, we don't hoard, we share, we are taking care of one another, and that's a different way of approaching things. And that's really what this shift from what we're saying, and we are classifying it as a masculine paradigm to a feminine paradigm, which truly what we're actually going for is balanced paradigm. But when we're going in that direction, we really have to start thinking about things differently. And as the old ways of thinking are falling away, there's just kind of the temper tantrum of the toddler that comes up and is kicking and screaming and like, I don't want to grow up and be an adult.
It's funny because you were talking about resistance with your Trevor, and as a species, as a human consciousness, there's resistance. Mm-hmm. And really deep down, we do want to love and to be loved, yet the fear creates the resistance. Yeah. And it's hard to trust if you weren't loved as a child and who was on earth. So it's to think that we can love each other and live in peace. That's, because I ask people that all the time, do you think peace is possible? And usually almost everyone says no. And I'm like, well, it really bothers me. It's like, can't you at least try to believe that it's possible? And then maybe you could start to create it.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, because as you were saying that, I had the lyrics, the greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved and reach. We've had all the right messages coming at us, but they're also coming at us at the same time as we're getting these messages that make us feel worthless. So we're getting both of them, and if we go back to the scriptures and consult Jesus, and he has the parable of the wheat and the tares, that is the wheat and the tares. The wheat wheat is everything that is love and nourishing and helps us to feel whole, helps us to feel our power, helps us to know that we can be just like him. We are just as capable of miracles, of resurrection, of turning water into wine, all the things, of communicating telepathically, of doing anything mystical. We have all the codes in us. So those messages are out there, and that's the wheat. But then we have everything that tells us you're worthless, you need to be this or that in order to be worthy, you need to go buy the latest iPhone, you need to have all these things in order to be valuable, which is just this illusion. That's the tares. And
we used to call it the chaff in the Bible college, the chaff or the wheat.
chaff or the wheat. And true, like when we get to spiritual sovereignty and discernment and like are alchemizing and completing that process of the subconscious journey, that's when we can separate them and be like, oh, I like actually see what's what, and then we choose. It's so funny that I did that with my left hand. But we choose to receive. We choose to be receptive. We choose to be soft. We choose to be open, and get ourselves to that state. And it feels so good that we start saying, oh, I really don't want that, and the choice becomes easier over time.
You raised your hand.
I know. I was like, yeah.
You have a question? The choice becomes easier over time, but because I'm thinking about, I asked you what your vision was and how do you want to help people, and I'm thinking about, if someone's watching and they maybe have never heard of a subconscious architect, and what the heck are you talking about? Like, it's basically, it's not fixing, but it is integrating and healing and paying attention to the wounding and the pain and the depression or whatever it is, and noticing. So if you notice that whatever you want to use for the word God, whatever, that the universe is love and that our culture is bullshit and tells us we're not loved, that this is true, it might take years. I wish it wouldn't take years for people, but for me it took decades. But it takes effort and attention to notice. It takes willingness, just a little bit of willingness to let that in. And for me, it was a gradual letting go. Trusting for a kid who was abused is almost impossible. Like, are you kidding me? I will die. I will die if I trust, because the person I trusted hurt me and betrayed me. So why would I ever trust anyone ever if the person who I came from hurt me? So I think it's beautiful what you're saying, and I agree with you totally. Yet I'm curious, like, if you say I hired you to work with you, because I that's what attracted to me first, was the voice, the throat. I'm a singer. Yeah, I'm a singer, and I've had throat issues my whole life.
Yeah. And
you said the throat is not for expression.
Not for communication.
And I was like, that really intrigued me.
Yeah.
And how do you help women find their power, and how does it relate to because to me, the throat and the voice is how we express our authentic truth.
So the autonomic function of the vocal folds is screaming, laughing, crying, sighing, moaning, singing. Yeah, all of these things that are just like, they come out naturally.
Mm-hmm.
We've superimposed spoken word. Spoken word can be an autonomic thing, but we use.
What do you mean autonomic? I'm sorry for people who don't know what that means.
Yeah, so autonomic is like things that happen automatically in the body. Our heart is an autonomic body function. That's one that we don't like. It takes a lot of discipline to become a person who can slow your heart rate and even stop it.
Like hiccups or burping or something like that.
Yeah, but like breath is the easiest one to understand, because breath just happens naturally, but also we can hold our breath. So we can stop it, which means that we can override our autonomic system. And when we're in fight, flight, freeze mode, our amygdala is overriding that natural release and response that's going to re-regulate the vagus nerve. And so the
The
reason
vagus nerve, which kind of controls the whole body, right?
right, yeah, but the main seat of it is here, and the thing that stimulates it
Like
the
your
most
neck.
is the voice. Yeah,
Ooh,
it's
I didn't know that.
well, yeah. So you've got these two side. It's like the base of the spine, and then it goes down, and then the vagus nerve keeps going down to the top, like just below the top of your lungs, and it creates this nice, like ovally shape that's kind of like the microcosmic orbital breathing pattern, but
Hello.
it's this direction instead of this
Did you get
direction.
that, folks? Microcosmic orbital breathing. Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah, right.
Microcosmic orbital breathing.
But it's also the like the shape of Om, which is really interesting to me. Your nervous system is the shape of Om. And that oming is such a great way to regulate that nervous system. Anyway,
I actually feel better just doing it silly. Oh.
Well, yeah, even just taking a deep breath and letting it all go with a sigh. It's like, holy shit. Like, that is such a simple thing. But what happens with creativity and like the expression's already there. Like, our inner child is in our heart, and yes, sometimes we do have to go into the underworld to find them, and we have to work with them in the mind, and they have things that they want to communicate. But the throat is like this, well, it's a couple things. It's a super highway between the head and the heart, and allows them to communicate better. So if you're not able to bring that prefrontal cortex function into the heart, then you're always going to be functioning from your fight, flight, freeze mode here, because it's just cut off. It's like, and that's when you get like the lump in the throat, the core issues of I can't speak my truth, and then you think that it's like you think it's about expression, but really it's about making yourself getting yourself to a place where you feel safe and willing to express.
Safe. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Safe.
Yeah, because somebody was saying that that the will is also in the throat. Like, the will is a part of it. And then I was like, oh, that makes so much sense, because it's like the willingness of the child. Is the child willing to play? Is the child willing to be free? And if they don't feel safe, then the answer is no.
And we don't need to be fixed, but many of us do need to be repaired, amended,
Remembered. I
remembered
like
that too.
Remembered.
Right. But even that, I had an energy healer tell me recently that my 7-year-old self had felt abandoned, and I was like, what? I was shocked, because you can't even remember, like, if you don't feel safe, it's, I don't know, we're going to go off on a rabbit hole, but feeling safe is pretty profound, and might take a little bit of processing and work to get to that place of
So we work with all of those different parts in vocal intimacy. We work on the feeling safe. So there's a lot of somatic practices to regulate the nervous system.
Somatic meaning in the body, yeah?
Yep. We get in the body. We do the breath work. We do simple mantras to rewrite the patterns. Like
what? Give me an example.
So like, which is the first one that comes to my mind? You are everything, I am everything, we are everything, all is one. That's a really sweet one that like works in groups. But we also need to get nitty gritty and like, what does our inner child need to hear? And one that I use regularly right now, because fear is the thing that's coming up the most, is recognizing that fear is the illusion. Like, it's not who you are. You are not your fear. It's just, it is there, and you feel it, and you need to feel it, but also you can let it go. It's not the security blanket anymore. All these fears that I feel, they're not me. Let them go, let them go. And you sing that until you can sing, I am free. I am free to be me. And that willingness has to be cultivated every day until one day you wake up and you've had your transformation, and also grace for like this day was totally in that space and tomorrow is not, because that's the human experience. And like we feel we feel so bad about being human.
Yeah, we cultivate it every day, and every day until we die. I mean, transformation isn't like you're done. I mean, I haven't experienced that. There's more.
What were you saying about transcendence the other day?
Yes, I'm reading this amazing book called Grounded Spirituality. And he talked about like transcend, like you end reality, and how it's so dismissive of our sacred, beautiful humanness. Like you said, we can do what Jesus did. Yeah, because we are him. We are it. The second coming of Christ is, guess what? Us. It's us. Yeah. He's not going to come back, I got news, on a white horse, which, I was taught. That's
Mormons teach that too.
Yeah, that's
on a white horse and a red robe.
True. He's done. It's our turn. It's our, like, even if you have the most amazing guru, I don't care if you're Eckhart Tolle's best friend, you still have to find the Christ within you, the truth within you, the power and authority, sovereignty.
Yeah, it's time we stop setting people up on pedestals and recognize
celebrities.
Soul celebrities. We are the soul. We are the wisdom. We have all the gnosis inside of us. And it's trusting our inner guidance, is trusting our intuition, which was a big part of my journey from Mormonism to spiritual sovereignty. It was trusting that intuition and letting it do what it does. And it's still a lot of finding, but that's when the scriptures talk about having faith and trust. That's what it's talking about. It's not talking about, you need to go say 7 prayers today. It's talking about tune in and ask yourself what you need. And if that is, if that's to like go yell at somebody who is feeling incongruent and unjust to you and just tell them off, that's still divine, and let that be divine. And I use that because we feel so much shame about letting our anger out. And
women are not allowed to be angry.
Yeah. You're out of control. You're crazy if you're angry.
Yeah. Well, I love that Christian woman said God wants you to be an atheist, because when you said intuition and faith, the way that I was taught at a conservative fundamental Bible college back in the late 70s was that faith was to believe this, because we say this is what you should believe. When intuition is allowing for the possibility that the Holy Spirit or divine intelligence, divine wisdom, whatever you want to call it, is going to directly give you a download of truth that might not be in their book or their playbook or their religious dogma. It might be something outside of that. And and I remember when I moved to LA and I found the Course in Miracles, and I was really afraid. And I had sort of this little, not a vision, but just a little picture in my head of, there used to be a Jewish comedian named Shecky Green, black hair, like a Catskills Jewish comedian, kind of like a lawyer too, like sitting in his chair, leaning back. And I was like, oh God, I'm so afraid, I'm so scared. There's tarot cards and there's past life and there's Course in Miracles. And they say and I was freaking out that I was going to do blasphemy, go to hell, burn in hell, all that shit. And I just imagined him like Shecky Green, kind of leaning back in his chair, kind of laughing like, where are you going to go? Where are you going to go that's outside of my love? I'm here. You're there. We're cool. And I was like, I just felt a visceral release. Like, oh, okay. I've been brainwashed enough. I know the Bible better than most Bible thumpers who are thumping it, who don't know what the hell it says. I know what it says. Thy word have I hid in my heart that I might not sin against thee. I got it memorized. It's there. Yeah. And I have common sense. But opening for the intuition, the Holy Spirit, to tell me, Susie Porter, I don't need to follow some guru, which I did for many years, but I don't need to do that. That takes so much trusting that God or our Creator loves us and cares about us enough to trust us with the truth. He doesn't need to give it to us through a bishop or a pastor or a pope or a priest or Marianne Williamson or anybody. We can get it.
Yes.
Just,
Yeah, and we're
on a
so
walk in
obsessed with
nature or
like,
wherever.
don't cast pearls before swine, but Jesus still did, and that, like, trusting that we would take from it the right thing. We're really good at convoluting the word because we have all of these messages that make us want to believe otherwise. But yeah, like, we really are just love. And even as I say that, I can feel the collective consciousness resistance. I can feel it saying, no, we're not. We need to control this situation. It's time to bring in the hazmat crew, clean up all this shit, and yeah, like, sanitize this. When like that deep knowing wisdom is dirty and messy and gooey, and like, smell the vomit and touch it and taste it, and like let's really dive deep. Let's get dirty. And in all the right yummy ways of, this world is meant for us to experience, to evolve, to become.
To become,
and to just be.
Yeah, to become, and like you said, remember, also just like return to our source, who we actually really are. Like, all of this stuff that we've become isn't who we really are.
Yes.
Who we really are is that, pure love.
I mentioned Amy Poehler's quote that it takes years for us to unbecome who we've been taught to be. And there's also, like, that is the journey. Yay, we get to remember. We get to remember who we are. We get to rediscover ourselves and become self-reliant and spiritually sovereign beings that really know our own unique frequency of love and shine it ridiculously brilliantly, because now it's just fully turned on. We're fully turned on
in every way.
And that fully turned on frequency then dances with other frequencies, and this is how we create the tapestry of our world in connection and cohesion rather than in isolation.
I love that. That's beautiful. I feel like we should kind of end there, because I think we've been talking for about 2 hours.
It's getting near that, but it also is like, it went by so fast. It's like there's so much more we could say, and
we could be like cable TV and just talk 24/7.
We could. I don't know if that would be good for our voices.
I'm saying we'd never run out of material, but
we would never run out of material. This is true. We'd always come up with, and even if we did run out and we're just sitting here, like, that's also, like, let that be.
We could take an break. We'd just be here for like 10 minutes, just letting people
and then we're gonna play rhythms with it. Let that little inner child out.
That's right. I love the metaphor. I'm not a Buddhist, but I like a lot of their stuff, and I love the metaphor of the empty rice bowl. Like, the reason it makes such a beautiful sound is because it's empty, and there's room for vibration. There's room for it to be filled with sound.
Yeah. Well, that's in the Tao too, of like, it's not the walls, it's the space inside, the empty space inside that
within this. I was in a play once called Philemon. Within this empty space. It's like very dramatic. La 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 la. Well, Kendra Kae, when this video is done and everything, I'll gather all your information, because I'm sure people are going to want to find you. You have your own channel, which is lovely. You've got Spotify. You've got so much to offer. You're so incredibly talented. One day, if you do a one-woman show, I want to help you with that, because it wouldn't be boring. It would be amazing. I have theaters in LA that would love you. Not, folks, she doesn't even really want to do one, but if she ever does, it would be amazing, because there's no ending to your creativity and your talent, and also your energy and your love. It's just really touches my heart, and I'm so glad I found you, and I'm so glad you're out there, and just keep whatever you're doing, I mean, I hope you just keep doing it. And I know you will. You'll just keep following.
Yes, I will.
Your
And
intuition.
and I'm so glad you found me too. And like the thing I would add to that is like you praise me with all of this, and it's not Fred Rogers would say it's disingenuous of him to say this. It's not true because what you're saying is true. But I love the improv, the yes and and it's true about you too. And anybody who's listening, that's the belief, is to get to that place of I am that creative, I am that talented, I am that connected, I am that like source is right at my doorstep. And it's really just switching to that belief. I know the journey can be long because I've been on it, and it can also be overnight. Like we can have our Scrooge awakening and and connect with the people who keep reminding us that this is the ride. This is the ride we get to be on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no more sitting alone being depressed. Like we get to enjoy this world and get to enjoy it together.
We'll help.
Yeah, come hang out with us.
I'm kind of an expert on depression. I remember when I was trying to get out of it for many decades, I read all the books I could find on depression. I'm like, oh my God. Finally, I started reading books about how to be happy. The best book, I'll put a plug in if you're depressed, it's called The Depression Cure. That's the last book I read. That helped me. Actually went to Utah. You can get undepressed. You don't have to be that way the rest of your life.
Yeah,
I think you can be free of it.
The phrase that's getting really common now is you're not depressed, you're unexpressed.
Or you're having a deep rest. Unexpressed. I like that even better than deep rest. I like that. You're not depressed, you're unexpressed. That's,
Yep.
Spot on.
Yeah. But having a deep rest is good too. I like that.
I like them both.
That one. Yeah,
but I like being happy even better. Can I say?
Yeah. Well, like we all were these joyful little children that came into this world, and then we had to grow up too fast, and no wonder we became depressed. And now we're just rediscovering that joyful inner child, and that it gets to be present as adults and alongside all this wisdom too. So, it's like that sweet inner child that also knows not to touch the hot stove.
Yeah, depression gave me empathy, and I don't know if I could have gotten it in another way, but yeah, I have crazy empathy. I honestly can say I'm so less judgmental than I don't want to judge others. I don't want to say right and wrong, good or bad, this and I just don't want that. I want us, I want we, I want peace, I want love, I want interconnectedness. It's not to say I'm not still a human being with my brain, but I don't enjoy it anymore. I want unity, I want oneness, I want compassion. Everybody's hurting, everybody, even the people I can't stand why they do the things they do, they're hurting, Mm-hmm. Woo! All right, Kendra Kae.
I feel like I should sing something like take us back, like to the place, because we're ready for a revolution. We really are, and so to believe that we are that frequency of love, and that we can receive that as well, because it can be really hard to let yourself believe that because you exist, other people like you exist. And like, this is my encouragement to you, to be your own unique frequency of love, and to be a little rebel and change this paradigm so that we can all harmonize together. Love recklessly, love rebelliously, love radically, be a rebel for love. Love recklessly, love rebelliously, love radically.
trouble for yourself. Love yourself.
Yes, yes, yes. Pour everything that you feel to pour on the rest of the world on yourself first, you know?
Yeah.
Like you want, I know it might feel like this weird thing to do, but if you want a hug, go sit and hug yourself. And when you're doing it, say how much you love yourself. Look in the mirror and see how you've transformed. Let yourself transform.
It's not wrong to love yourself.
Yes, it's not wrong for you to
At
love
the Bible
yourself.
college, they taught us Jesus, others, you. You're third.
No.
Such a terrible message for an insecure, neurotic 17-year-old girl. Like doormat, codependent. No. Jesus said, love your neighbor as you love
Yourself.
Hello.
Yes. Yeah. Love yourself. You've got nothing better to be than to be yourself. You've got nothing better to do than to love yourself.
That's, I think, my favorite song of yours so far.
Oh, it's such a good one.
You've got nothing better
to be than to be
yourself.
You've got nothing better to do than to love yourself. You've got nothing better to be than to be yourself. Nothing to do, only to be, nothing to love. Whoops. Nothing to be.
It's okay.
Nothing to be, only to love. Well, and that's the thing. It's so funny when we have those Freudian slips, because it's like, oh, yep, I haven't fully gotten rid of those beliefs, those fears, and that's okay. The best thing you can do after that is laugh at yourself.
Yes, laugh. Oh my God, let's do a whole other video tomorrow about laughter.
Okay. Okay, I'm ready.
All right. Namaste. That's what we say in say namaste.
The awesome in me acknowledges the awesome in you. I like how Yoga with Adrian puts it.
I love her. Of course you love her.
She's so chill.
I love her.
Yeah.
All right, Kendra Kae. Mwah.
All right. Mwah.
Bye.
Bye.